June 24th, 2020. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined by Matt Morgan and Justin LaBar. We're going to talk about AEW, going to talk about NXT. Matt and I are both wearing red shirts, Justin in the middle. This is like the saddest, weirdest color combination I think I've ever seen on this podcast. It's all good. Before we get into it all, we're going to cover a couple of quick news stories, and then we're going to get in with Matt to jump into everything that's going on with tonight's shows. But Justin, what's the latest on these allegations that are still breaking and developing as we're going? And Wrestling Inc., of course, has all the details, but please give people sort of the high-level stuff.
Yeah, another day, and unfortunately more allegations. Like we said last Friday in the podcast, we'll give you just the headlines and the basics of the story, but if you want to get the full details, go to Wrestling Inc. Marty Scurll, Marty, of course, been famous on the wrestling scene for some number of years. He's actually the head booker of ROH right now. He was one of the latest people to be named in allegations. This from a woman who claiming back in 2015, basically at a UK show that she was 16 at the time. And she claims that Marty coerced her and having unprotected sex while she was intoxicated. She talks about what they did do before it got put to a stop. And then Marty did put out a response to this. Again, you can get word for word, but Marty's response it wasn't met with some of the best reaction in his response. He says sorry that this girl feels this way and that it's been a hurtful experience, but under his memory he thought it was a consensual situation, and he does even on one point in the response say that it was a legal hookup, noting that in the UK 16 is an age of consent. So he's put out then a follow-up statement. So if you want to get all of that and get your full details, Wrestling Inc. has that. Another big one in the speaking out movement is Chikara, which Chikara has been an indie promotion that's been around since I think 2002. It's been ran by Mike Quackenbush, and he and his training facility have come down as being named again in allegations in the speaking out. So Mike Quackenbush has come out and said that he is discontinuing Chikara and stopping. At least he's going to stop as the head trainer at his wrestling school. We're not sure if the school is going to shut down entirely or not, but that story also on Wrestling Inc. So those are the two latest, the highest profile at least. I think there's some other ones. I don't want to shortchange them, but again, Wrestling Inc. has full details on all that have continued to add in the speaking out movement.
And again, I mean, we talked about this the past few nights, but there are so many of these stories. These are so many sensitive details, so many serious allegations. I feel that there's no way we could do justice to these accounts. Wrestling Inc. has all of these stories as they're ongoing. Additionally, there was development today, more news about some AEW and WWE COVID positive tests that looks like they're going to impact the way they're handling tapings in the near future.
Yeah, we'll start with AEW. There was two changes to tonight's Dynamite in terms of on-air personnel. QT Marshall did not end up having. He was supposed to be in a tag match against FTR. He was not there due to some concerns of coming in contact with COVID-19. And then Jon Moxley also not there. Moxley was supposed to have what would have been a squash match, and they ended up replacing it with Moxley's Fyter Fest opponent, Brian Cage. Tony Khan talked about Jon Moxley on social media, and Khan said that Moxley recently came into contact with someone, came in contact with another person who has the coronavirus, and Moxley warned the promotion and the doctors and was fully happy and wanted to stay home and not worry about potentially putting anybody else in danger. So Moxley, that's why he was not there tonight, as of course they build to this Fyter Fest title match. And then over on WWE, getting scary. So reports out there again. Wrestling Inc. has the full story that more positive COVID-19 tests are happening from those who have been at the PC. It ranges from those who are talent, production crew, and employees. So these positive tests, of course, are the trickle down effect then, okay, of quarantining. Who have they been around? What's this do to our schedule? Of course, they're constantly trying to get some of these shows, Raw, NXT, and SmackDown in the can. So it is a very fluid situation. So really stay with Wrestling Inc. because what we know now at 10:35 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, this is developing, and I'm sure we're going to hear more details come out from behind the scenes. And I apologize if I misspoke earlier. AEW has not had positives. It's first and second hand contact with people who have been positive, and precautions being taken on that end. It's in WWE, and I'm seeing numbers all over the place. I really don't want to get this wrong. This will be a big story. Again, it feels weird to say I'm not a journalist, and Raj and Wrestling Inc. will be covering this in greater detail as more details can be confirmed and more information is available.
Yeah, I mean the most I believe I'm pulling it up right now. PW Insider is reporting, and we Wrestling Inc. picked it up and is aggregating this. PW Insider is saying that one source noted to them the number of positives is in the 24 range. Again, that's just PW Insider with one source. I don't know that. I've talked to one person this evening. They said they could not confirm that's been 24. They did confirm a couple people they know of. So 24. That's a big number. And then of course again the trickle down of who have they been in contact with. So again, very fluid, very developing. Wrestling Inc. Trying to stay on top of it, but not good news.
Okay, so let's bring on Matt Morgan and on a kinder note, talk about AEW and NXT tonight. Matt, so what'd you think of both shows this evening?
Awesome. Loved Wardlow and Luchasaurus.
Yeah, that was a very, very strong start to the show in a lumberjack match. And this went all over the place. Just that it was interesting at first when Wardlow was on Luchasaurus. I was like, oh, he's trying to take his mask off. And it was like, no, he's trying to pry his jaws apart, like King Kong style, the way he kills the T-Rex.
Yeah.
Trying to open his mouth. Like that was a vicious spot. And I think for Wardlow, he looked the best and most menacing he ever has.
Definitely.
Yeah, this is a fun, good match. There was a little bit of everything here. There was two big guys, hard hitting at times, but then you saw some fast moving athletic stuff that guys of their size don't traditionally do. So a little bit of everything. I think they did a pretty good. I mean, they did a good job. Obviously, Wardlow got a win, but they did a good job protecting Luchasaurus. Obviously, it was due to distraction and such. So
this was a very key win for Wardlow. This was a very big deal, I thought.
Yeah, I mean he hasn't had a ton of matches. I mean, obviously he lost. He looked good losing to Cody at his debut match back in February, but he's had a few squash matches otherwise. But this was the biggest credible win that he's had up to this point for AEW.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going this direction. Honestly, I thought for sure Luchasaurus would win, and I was worried about that.
Yeah, no, I thought both looked good tonight, but Wardlow, this is finally. Tonight was the first time when I saw him more than just MJF's muscle.
Right.
Well, and they keep kind of alluding to it. They said it again tonight on commentary. Like they talked about how good like Wardlow was looking. They said, he's looking better than some guy that would just be a lackey. And then somebody else in commentary goes, yeah, I have a feeling he's not going to be that for very long. So I mean, they're not even pretending to try to like make this come out of nowhere. I mean, they're clearly giving you the Diesel Shawn.
Yes.
To pardon the phrase, blueprint here. That's coming.
Yep.
Trademark Matt Morgan. After that, Britt Baker in plexiglass tonight in her security case after what happened last week with Big Swole. I mean, there have been a couple instances of this. I mean, even Enzo in NXT when he was injured. It's amazing when you can be not cleared to wrestle and yet somehow get over as an even bigger star.
She was awesome. This was great. Whoever thought of this. This was awesome. I popped huge for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good they're doing this with her. I mean, because how easy it would have been for AEW and her, quite frankly, to say, okay,
off till she's better. Yeah.
Right. She's injured. We got a pandemic going on. She has a day job. Like, let's just send her home and we'll just bring her back and rebuild her up. But no, I mean, and she's at the height right now, and she can't even perform.
Yeah. This was really good. Then blink and you miss it tonight. Hikaru Shida versus Red Velvet. I got to be honest, this match was so short. I didn't even know this happened until I saw on Twitter. I saw the pull apart after when Shida went after Ford and hit her. Like I was making dinner tonight. We were looking at the vast amount of canned goods we've accumulated. I looked to the wife and I said, vegan chili dogs for dinner. And I was in the process of putting the vegan chili in the pot to heat it up. And this match was over by the time I looked up.
Now, let me ask you a question, a personal question. Did you feel cool saying vegan before
I had to clarify. If I'd said chili dogs, Matt, people in the chat would be like, "But Glenn, you're vegan. Is this hypocrisy?" You know, like I have a rep to uphold here. You know,
okay, that's very fair. Very fair.
Yes. But I guarantee you, Matt, I know we've talked before. You've had the Beyond Burger. You found it surprisingly convincing. Let me tell you, a vegan chili dog, you couldn't tell the difference because you just put that, you put the onions, you put the mustard, you put it all on there. Like you still feel like crap, like if you ate a regular chili dog. There's nothing healthy about this at all. Yeah.
I'll try it.
Yeah. I think anyone that looks at me knows I'm not living the whole food, plant-based, healthy vegan lifestyle. Yeah. Hashtag chubby vegan. Hashtag chubby is being generous. Anyhow,
hashtagging yourself.
So Sheeta going after Ford after this. I mean, okay, they're building this.
Yes, I like that. It was a great continuation. The next layer in the storyline, the next page has been turned. I'm loving AEW so far.
Yeah. Okay, Nate Erickson, $10 super chat. Thank you, Nate. Congrats, Justin. Great job on Busted Open.
Good job.
Enjoyed
Justin.
it, and look forward on hearing you on there next week until at least week 11. Also, there you go, Matt. Nate changed his name from Septum XL because you prefer real name.
Good job, Nate Dog. That's your new name, Nate Dog. Good job, buddy.
Thank you, Nate. Glad you enjoyed it.
Much easier to say your name. And real quick before we move on, Glenn. Yeah. I heard Justin as well. Justin's done a great job, and those of you that do listen to Busted Open, please continue to flood timelines, comment sections, and whatnot, because this guy, Justin, and I mean this, he's no idea I'm going to say this, but he's been busting his ass for years at this.
Oh, yeah.
He was doing this when I was still in my prime in wrestling, and many wrestlers that I knew in the locker room used to watch his stuff all the time. He was taken very seriously. Nobody treated him like a mark or a negative connotation of somebody that covered wrestling. He was treated like a legit, like ESPN anchor would if you were to be interviewed by somebody from ESPN, honestly. Yeah. So I really, wish you nothing but the best, Justin, and you really, deserve the opportunity you're getting. They're lucky to have you.
Thank you. It's very nice of you to say.
Michael Finley asking the question, where was Abaddon tonight? Now thinking about that was kind of like not following up on the momentum.
Is this the Michael Finley who played for the Dallas Mavericks and the Spurs? And he watches us? Hell yeah.
I met a guy locally like 2 years ago whose name is Steve Martin. And the first thing I said to him was like, how do you feel going through life when people are constantly disappointed when they learn your name or hear your name and then meet you and they go, it's not that Steve Martin?
How comfortable are you with the Steve Martin? Because that's a pretty good dig. That's terrible. Hey, Mr. Mediocre. What's it like when people are let down when they meet you? Poor Steve Martin. He didn't see that coming.
My dad's best friend, his name is Mike Myers, and he gets it too.
From both sides, you have Michael Myers and then Mike Myers.
He gets it for you're not as funny as Mike Myers.
See, that's why you got to use the middle initial. Like, and when I'm in charge, everybody, like, there only gets to be one Matt Morgan. Everyone else has to change up their name. The most famous person with the name has dibs on that name. Glenn Lipkin 299, is it disrespectful that Wardlow uses the F10?
Can I answer, please?
Yeah.
Please? No. He's taken a move and he's made it bigger and better. So I'm going to say, no, it's not disrespectful. What was disrespectful, and it wasn't my fault, was Vince trying to stick it to Brock Lesnar when Brock left and they brought me back to TV. They made me start doing the F5. I wasn't doing that in OVW. I was doing the carbon foot. No, I was doing the elevator, the stalling suplex into the rock bottom. Dope finisher, by the way. But I wasn't doing any F5s, that's for sure. Then out of the blue, I get called up to SmackDown doing the stuttering character, and they made me do the F5 as a finisher. And it was always and Cena told me what he thought what it was too. It was kind of like a middle finger, not from me, but from Vince, that Brock is very replaceable. Well, we see how that turned out. The guy's on their TV and I'm not. And what I didn't like about it was he was a friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and he was the guy that tried to help me when I was younger. So it was a real weird position for me to be in. But I was working the Big Show. What other finisher can you give the Big Show? Powerbomb? I couldn't. I don't know. Kevin Nash did it. That's a tough dude to pick up.
Yeah.
Well, and what's interesting about Wardlow using the F10, this is only in AEW. Prior, Wardlow had never done what you see and what Greg is saying is an F10. Wardlow, what his finisher had been for his first 4 years of his career, he'd put them up like on the fireman's carry position. He would spin on them. He would actually drive them. They would take a back bump, and he would sit with them. And it was the Wardlow driver. And I don't know if AEW wants. I don't know if this looks better. It sounds. Better,
so it was a Death Valley driver where he just take them and put them in front of him with his legs spread open as a seated position.
Yep,
that's pretty dope. They should have let him keep doing that.
Yeah,
it's safe too. He takes the bump with you.
It's
impact off the guy.
That Matt, and obviously, like I'm not like I but he's given that to me before. And when and I remember being a little nervous. I said, all right, like what's the best place for me to be when taking this? And he walked me through it. And he said, I'm gonna be there with you. He goes, you'll be fine. He goes, I'm taking it with you. And it was safe.
And it makes a huge boom noise too.
Yep. Yeah. When you have
bounce.
Yeah, when you have him drop into his ass and then he's also setting you down. I mean, he's
a big dude.
Dustin D, $4.99. Do they use Britt Baker to build up some other women like Big Swole and underdeveloped women on the roster? Could give her own Diesel story.
Who would be Wait, what? I missed the Diesel part of this.
I don't know.
I don't understand the Diesel part of that story, Dustin D. Do not spend more money to just go to me on Twitter and ask me that. Sorry, Raj. I'm not going to waste his fans' money. I think that's ridiculous. But I will digress. Do you know what? I don't understand the Diesel part, but I do think it's not a terrible idea what he says. The only problem is he did waste more money. Dustin D didn't answer to me.
And cha-ching sound goes off in Raj's foyer.
Dustin D, $1.99, meaning pair her with a monster while hurt. Oh, okay. Now that definitely clarifies that actually. That's not a bad idea. Justin?
There's no monster to really pair her with, I don't think. That's the problem. Like, you're not going to put her with a supernatural freak like this Abaddon character, and there's no other. I wouldn't put her with Nyla. I mean, I think what they're doing. I think it's not broke, don't fix it. I think she's doing fine. Having Rebels are a little wacky.
But his whole thing, you know what? That's a very good point. She's out there with Rebel. That's going to be a future storyline. If you put somebody else in that mix, like the Muscle, you're going to cloudy and muddy up the waters.
Especially whenever Britt's cleared and it comes time for her to have a match with Swole or whatever, and that time where she expects Rebel to take the and Rebel walks out on her, and now Britt's got to take her cup up, take hers.
Yep.
So Krana Shah with a $5 super chat saying, now Justin coining the team Just Henry to take on the Jew Print and Raj back, saying loves the podcast. Congratulations to Justin on busting open, and good luck to Mr. Morgan on his election.
Thanks, brother.
Just Henry. There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Just Henry. And you're not Just Henry. You're the Henry.
Back to the show tonight.
What you want me healing on all the fans? You like me healing on them instead, Glenn?
No, Matt, you are the biggest babyface I've ever known. You could play a heel. Oh my God, he smiles. He had to grow a beard to cover up those dimples under there.
Fans are paying to have Matt roast them. That's part of the fun of paying.
Like Don Rickles. So press conference with Cody surrounded by the Nightmare Family, Jake Hager there. With Arn building up this match for the TNT Championship that's going to happen at Fyter Fest. What'd you think of this, Matt? This was a little kind of different.
I liked it. I just still don't. And I love me some Arn Anderson. Like, he was one of my tapes back when we watched tape of people to watch on how to cut the ring in half when I found out it was going to be in a tag team with Nathan Jones. So for all you fans that are dying laughing right now, trying to imagine me and Nathan Jones split the ring with a tag team psychology. Yes, you should be laughing at that. But still, he's somebody I studied and watched, and I think the world of him. I'll repeat it. I don't like the matchup. He does not need. Cody doesn't need this. I don't like it. It just feels like they're taking a square peg and trying to jam it through a circular hole. Well, come on, Matt. Arn's an amazing promo. Why would you not want him to have opportunities to be in segments where maybe he could talk? I would normally agree with that. Do it with a younger superstar that needs it.
Yeah.
I didn't buy into this press conference thing.
I thought it was a little.
It was
I like the sport feel. The sport feel was cool.
Well, that's the problem. If they actually would have executed on giving the feel, to me, it didn't give me the feel. To me, it was just a very like they tried, they swung, and it was a big whiff. Like, I understand, especially with the not even the social distancing, because they have all these guys outside of the ringside, so it's like it didn't feel like it felt very hokey. It felt very forced. I don't know. Maybe it's. I mean, I've been at Super Bowl press conferences. I've been at pro wrestling press conferences. Like, I'm very familiar with that setting.
Right.
That did not feel authentic enough.
So what they should have done is they should have had it. TNA did this once when my DNA. This is crazy. You're not going to believe me, but look this up, folks, on Google. When my DNA was sent to space, still as we speak at the International Space Station. I swear to God, can't make this stuff up, folks. They did this backstage press conference where they made it look like it was a legit press conference with all the TNA executives handing me this plaque and whatnot, and it looked really legit. But it was pre-shot. It was shot earlier in the day, and it was like a splice in during the show. And that's what I would have done with this. You have a backdrop you can control to make it look like a legitimate press conference.
Yeah. I think because the timing was wrong with this.
Yeah, because I mean, if done right, what Matt started, the sport feel, it does give an authenticity, and to AEW's credit, they try to keep records. They even do something as little as, I'm fast forwarding here, but earlier, or later in the show, it took guys a while to come out and help Matt Hardy, and the commentators even say, "Well, the locker rooms are very far; they're over in the football."
Love that.
So yes, I mean, like AEW, they really try to give you like, I mean, they even acknowledge on tonight, Moxley's not here because of COVID-19. So they really try to be true and transparent, and so they really could have done good stuff at this press conference, but it did not feel real enough. The only thing I'll say I enjoyed about this press conference is I'm pretty sure I have this right. The two people they called on to ask questions, their names, I believe, are ghostwriter byline names from old Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazines. Like, so Pro Wrestling Illustrated used to have different characters, like how Vince Russo was Vic Venom back in the day for WWF magazine. Pro Wrestling Illustrated had different names, and I think the two they called on were a reference to that. So if you are a long time wrestling fan and media fan and magazines, you would have called that, and that's a kind of a chuckle, a pop. But otherwise,
thank you.
When did they start doing that in WWF magazine? The code names.
I mean,
it was more in Wrestling Illustrated, but yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think, because so Game Pro, the video game magazine, started doing that like in 88, 89. I'm wondering who was first.
I had a subscription to that.
I wrote one review for Game Pro. I am in a 1993 issue reviewing Super Mario All-Stars as G-Man.
Oh my God, I'm not lying to you right now. I had to have had that issue. I had a subscription through 96.
You should get Glenn to sign your copy.
I have to have it somewhere. I save all my magazines, by the way.
I used to save all mine, and then finally I was like, I'm lugging around it's
so heavy. They're
so
heavy. Oh my
so
God.
much space.
My Beckett baseball, basketball, football card price guides. I have every one of them. Comic books for days.
Yeah.
And then Sports Illustrateds, and then my Pro Wrestling Illustrateds.
Yeah. I just had to get rid of a lot of it. It was just I had like all old electronic gaming monthlies and
Nintendo Power?
Yeah, Nintendo Power. I remember when it was the Nintendo Fun Club News, and then they switched to the subscription for Nintendo Power.
Wow, how did I miss that?
It was originally free, and they sent out the first issue for free, and then you had to subscribe.
I don't remember the name of it, but I remember, yes.
Okay. Remember it had in the cartoon Howard and Nestor. It was like Howard Phillips and Nestor was a little cartoon.
Nestor was a little, yeah.
Yeah, they got into crazy shenanigans. This is what the people tune in for, but we have a lot left to cover tonight, folks.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, Terrible Trey, 89, $4.99. Considering it's her first time being a heel, Britt's doing an amazing job.
Oh, is she ever? Because I didn't think she could do it. Not to diss her, but because to me she was the ultimate babyface, and they did her bad as her first babyface opportunity, and for her to take this and guys, I'm telling you again, she's like 5 years ahead of the curve. 5 full years of everyday wrestling, I will argue, ahead of the curve of being comfortable to be a believable heel like that. That takes time. She's so damn good at it.
No, I agree. She's come such a long way. Let's talk about Brody Lee and Colt Cabana versus Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela.
This was pretty good. This was pretty darn good.
No, I like this a lot. I'm really surprised they had Joey and Sonny lose, considering the great response to the vignette. The great response to the match on Dark. Like, why? And making a big deal that they're undefeated. I just don't understand why they decided Colt and Brody needed to go over.
Well, Brody shouldn't have been in it. That way he could have been protected.
Yeah.
Well, even though it was in Colt, they really seem to like. I'm entertained by Colt's wrestling. I really am. I like the stuff he does. I think he's original. He's just different style of wrestler that I know I couldn't wrestle like. So I'm always a fan of that kind of stuff. But with that said, they should have given them a different tag team or something like that. I would have taken a squash tag match here. I really would have. Because it would have told us, cool, young up-and-comers, even though I know Joey's well past that, but still, as a tag team, a legitimate tag team in their tag team ranks, wow, we need to look out for these two.
And then Lance Archer attacking Sonny from behind after.
What the hell?
I know, like, if they're going in this direction, this is going to be, like, that's very much not where I thought this was all going.
Complete opposite for me. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I did not see any of this coming. When I saw the tag match, I'm like, wait, why are they tagging them against them?
Joey and Sonny have, like, that. I think they're cooler than Jurassic Express. I think they've got, like, it's better than Orange Cassidy vibe. It's certainly better than Best Friends. Like,
you think it's better? Wait, hang on.
Well,
Definitely
but like the vibe, like the cool, like the coolness vibe of it. I think they could be.
You think that's cooler than Orange Cassidy? Though?
Well,
wow,
but no, as a tag team though, I think as a tag team they could be the coolest tag team in AEW in a heartbeat if they're booked right.
They are crazy cool, and they got your attention. That's for sure. That's why I can't believe they put them in this tag match.
Yeah,
this was an easy no-brainer. Give them two locals, squash.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see some. I tell you right now, Sonny they got to go back to that throwback entrance.
Yeah, with the cheerleaders.
What was that event?
That was Fyter Fest. Was that Fyter Fest or Fight for the Fallen? I think it was Fight for the Fallen last year because it was outdoors.
It immediately ups his game when you're watching the show and you're going, "This dude's a superstar."
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why, like when TNA got rid of the pyro, I'm like, "This is a big mistake."
And what I mean by cool, by the way, in terms of like that Orange Cassidy vibe, Orange Cassidy is practically in the main event picture. Orange Cassidy versus Jericho.
I know, right?
So what I mean by that is like you've got to have like there's mainstream cool and then there's that next big thing.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to say edgy, but I don't want to say hip because then I sound old. But I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like the Red Hot Chili Peppers were a cool band, and then like your mom was listening to Under the Bridge.
When Under the Bridge, dude, that was when they jumped the shark for that category. Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. Like Orange Cassidy is no longer like the secret of like the smart marks.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying with this. Like they could be the next big thing. So we'll see. But yeah, with Lance Archer, I mean, that just we'll see where this goes. FTR versus SCU. This was unexpected tonight. This is a match that I think even a couple months ago, people would have thought would have been a lot more hyped than this ended up being.
It's a great match, but guys, get your bang for your buck. You should have been advertising the piss out of this.
Well, this wasn't supposed to be against SCU. It was supposed to be against QT Marshall and.
Okay, did they? I don't know. I wasn't online during the daytime. Did they go bananas on Twitter advertising it?
They noted they changed it. It was more the reason of why it got changed, but they did note that they changed it the day of.
I guarantee you, FTR was pretty stoked to get this match because they're like a legitimate, real tag team, and they really want to wrestle against the best tag teams out there. And say what you want, SCU is one of them. Yeah.
In fact, SCU's spot right now in AEW actually reminds me of how far the Revival fell in WWE. Former champs.
But the problem with that is, no disrespect, I love Frankie and Chris. They're my friends. So two of the three I know really well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the names I'm saying because I hate saying bad things about my friends when I don't feel like I have to, but I got to be honest with the fans. The thing with them though is they're past their prime somewhat, not athletically, but like that window of can you buy either one of them in a singles main event for the world championship? Yeah, is what I mean by that. Because I used to think Frankie, they missed the boat on him multiple times at TNA. That dude should have gone from the X division, and they should have built him up properly into a legit, bona fide singles act. Dude, I was in the arena when Frankie would come out, man. People loved him. He had a cool move set, and everybody's like wife and girlfriend and will go bananas for Frank, that he's like the most handsome guy on the roster, like all the time.
Yeah.
He had that factor about him. He had that superstar factor, the look and the work. But now they're like, I don't know, they're just, a little bit older. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. So after FTR cut a promo and Butcher and Blade were there, we saw so they set it up for Fyter Fest, FTR and the Young Bucks versus the Butcher, the Blade, Pentagon Jr., and Phoenix. And then Pentagon and Phoenix dropped FTR in the ring. The Young Bucks came out and chased them off.
Cool.
I wonder if we're going to see FTR and the Young Bucks like split up at Fyter Fest to set up a match at All Out.
Okay. First of all, Butcher and Blade do not need to be in this. They are ruining what could be the coolest, best, most exciting triple threat tag team match of all time. And I'm just going to throw that out there. It would be. It would be. Lucha Brothers finally are back, which is great. I think they're severely underrated. Either of those three teams, in my opinion, have the right to claim they're the best tag team in the world and be honest about it.
Yeah, this is cool. Like it's cool to see the Lucha Brothers back, and Glenn, I agree with you. I think that they are going to set up for September for Bucks versus FTR. The problem I had, if you watch this was sloppy executed. So they're going in between FTR and Butcher and Blade, and I don't know why they shot it this way, or if they intended to, or if Lucha Brothers came in early, but they're shooting them. The Lucha Brothers are standing there behind them for 20 seconds. As they're trying to build up, and the verbiage of the way Blade is talking is he's trying to say, like, it's going to be you and Young Bucks versus an 8-man tag versus us, and you'd think it would be like, and these guys, and then boom, then you'd see him
music hits
or something. But but Pentagon and Phoenix are just standing there, just looking stupid, which those two guys should never be made to look stupid, because that's way out of their realm of their gimmick. But they're just standing there like, oh, they don't see us. I don't know. It was that bothered me. But yes, the match will be fun.
Which one of the two you think made that noise, by the way? Do you think it was Pentagon, or do you think it was
my source and my scoop tells me it was Pentagon.
Scoops
Well played.
Now, Kazarian X has an interesting point with his $5 super chat saying, I think that Joey and Sonny could be this generation's Goldust and Booker T. I think they could be bigger because they're not treating Sonny the same way WWE treated Goldust.
But he means the opposites attract, and they're super powerful because they're opposites. I get it.
I'm telling you, I think it could be even bigger. I think Sonny is the right character at the right time, and if they, if they really get behind this with Sonny and Joey, it could be huge.
You said that perfectly, actually. Yes, you're right.
So Brian Cage. Oh, we had this Moxley promo. Said he had no problem with Brian Cage until the parking lot attack that sent Moxley through the windshield. Taz called Moxley damaged goods. So Moxley was supposed to have this match tonight and said it was Brian Cage versus Joe Cruz. Pretty simple squash. Taz got on the mic after asking where Moxley was at. So Moxley's sitting his ass at home because he's afraid. And said Cage came to work. Moxley said, like, this is actually kind of charged considering the reality of the situation, but I mean, it definitely builds heat, I think, for the match.
Yeah. I don't know what to say to this.
It was a choice.
Isn't this guy he wrestled in the squash match like Sammy Guevara's friend that's always in his blog? I forget his name.
Joe Cruz?
Just said it. Yeah, isn't that his guy? His friend that's usually in it? You guys don't want... I used to watch his...
The only Sammy vlog I've watched is actually his most recent one, is Apology to Sasha.
Yeah.
So they announced the cards for Fyter Fest Night 1 and Night 2. Night 1's going to be MJF and Wardlow versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Private Party with Matt Hardy. That's the Private Party with Matt Hardy. It rhymes, so we know it's going to be great. Versus Santana and Ortiz. Hikaru Shida versus Penelope Ford.
Whoa. It's 3-on-2?
That's a good question. Maybe just like maybe Matt Hardy is going to be their hype man.
No, seriously, it doesn't say who the third person with the
Private Party with Matt Hardy.
My guess would be it's Sammy, but they made a point not to talk about Sammy tonight since he's technically.
Gotcha.
They didn't mention or show him because he is suspended at the moment. But my guess would be Sammy.
I think you're right.
Because tonight was supposed to be Matt Hardy versus Sammy, and then they swapped it out and put.
No, that makes sense. Okay, they'll get somebody in there, I'm sure.
I think it will be. I think it will be Sammy. They just weren't going to talk about him tonight and say him in the promotion. But I think come Fyter Fest, Sammy will be back.
So Anthony Y, $1.99, Justin the Scoop LaBar, the man with the scoop.
Anthony, why? You really paid to get that on here?
Thank you, Anthony. That's 2 scoops.
Justin, you need to order an ice cream scooper to keep in the office. You can just click the little button on the end of it all the time whenever you got a scoop.
And by the way, it's Scoops McGee.
Scoops McGee.
You realize how annoyed Matt would get if I got an ice cream scoop? That would be so much fun of just the visual. That would up our YouTube numbers even more. People would have to see how annoyed he gets every time I would click an ice cream scoop.
I would be annoyed because it wouldn't be funny.
It would be kind of funny.
It would be like one of your Vince fails. That's what it would be like.
I don't have any Vince fails.
You have had Vince fails. Not many.
Very few.
It would be like
2.
The Simpsons in the rake gag when like the first time he steps on the rake and it hits him in the face, it's funny. Like the fourth time you're like, okay, this is just old. But then like the 20th time you're like, okay, this is hilarious again. You know, it just keeps going and going and going. That's the key. Zach Eisendrath, who I apologize I didn't get back to you on Instagram, saying we couldn't make his friend Nick's bachelor party in Wisconsin on Friday. Would I consider DJing the wedding or officiating it? Zach, I can send you a playlist. It'll be just like I'm there. Okay,
so Zach and his wife, I've chatted with about this. Yeah. They pop huge for this, the fact that we talk about this at all. So kudos to Zach and the missus. We appreciate you guys watching the show, and you guys seem cool and very, very funny, by the way. They pop huge for this whenever we mention them, or better yet, his friend's wedding, his bachelor party, I should say.
Zach, we'll have Glenn will make you some vegan chili dogs, and he will send it to the reception with a personal note from all of us.
And just as a shout out, Zach, tell your buddy Nick to go to BlueChew.com, use that code WINC. You know, just as his best man, you gotta.
You took the opportunity for Zach and his missus, and Nick, more importantly. Huge wedding coming up, or did it already happen? To plug your Blue Chew.
I'm saying, as a best man, you know, you got to look out.
And Zach, make sure your best man. Make sure
responsibilities.
And Zach, make sure your best man is trimmed and neatly groomed. Make sure you use.
No, Nick. Nick is the best man. No, Nick. I'm sorry.
Zach is the best man.
Yeah, so make sure that your buddy for his wedding night, Nick, is well taken care of. Manscaped is the answer. Promo code
INC.
INC. There we go.
Okay, before this really gets off the rails, but seriously, congratulations. Here, I believe Zach has asked me for a video. Yes, let me just say, and you can.
I told them I would do it.
I will do it as well, but I'm going to give a little bonus here and say congratulations to Nick and your lovely fiance. Wish you a lot of happiness. You're getting married at a very tough time, but you have each other. And what better way to sort of signify your bond to each other than choosing to take this leap during such complicated and uncertain times?
P.S. My video will be way cooler than that. Just throwing that out there. Much cooler, way funnier. It'll pop the entire wedding. Just throwing that out there. You try to one-up me just now, Glenn Rubenstein.
I'm not a one-upper, I swear.
You are you just one-up me.
Actually, you know what's weird though, Matt? I mean, like Justin. I mean, not to like complicit Justin here, throw some shade. But I was gonna say,
think about what you're about to say before you say this.
Great word. That's a great word.
I'm just thinking that it's like for Matt and I mean, this isn't like egotistical, but I think Matt, you know, normally when you're in the room with people not in the biz, you know, you're like, I got the stories, I got the surprising things people are gonna find out about me. Like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm kind of a big deal, but I'm not going to play it up. But if it comes out, I'll feign embarrassment and be like, oh yeah, that was a time. But you know, you got stuff in reserves that you can work a room and entertain people. You know,
one time I tripped and fell and put Big Show's 555 pounds through an announce table. No, that. Oh, I don't want to do that.
No, but I'm saying you've got that, and I've got that, and Justin, you have that as well. So I guess in a way, maybe for all three of us, it's sort of like a little weird doing this podcast sometimes because there is that sort of like, oh wait, I can beat. It's like Jaws. We're like comparing scars here. Like I can beat your story. I can beat your story. I can beat your story. We've all lived full and enriching lives. Yes, eventful. Anthony Y, $1.99, 2 scoops or 3, Matt.
Anthony, come on. Anthony, do not continue to add to this madness. This is not a funny joke. This is not a funny skit.
Raj, this is my $1.99. I want to see it in my pay for the month of June.
You know what just registered in my head right now? The bit is I don't think it's funny. I just realized why you guys think it's funny now. It's because it annoys me. Okay, I got it.
Terrible Trey, 89, $1.99. Is it too early to take the title off Mox?
I know. I know what he's saying. Because, be honest, you guys, Mox has lost a ton of steam. I don't mean that like in a way like, okay, I think he sucks or I don't think he's good or whatever the word is. But, guys, he's lost a ton of steam. Yes, he's a big fan participation type of wrestler, right? The crowd goes bananas when he comes out through them, and he doesn't have that anymore. But still, I still think it was a mistake to take that title off of Jericho.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I can see them taking it off Mox, but like if he beats Brian Cage, first big match, loses. Lance Archer, first big match. Ultimately loses.
Terrible.
Couldn't be Cody. Wardlow. We said they've kind of Wardlow looked really good losing to Cody in the cage, so I can't really lump him in there. But yeah, I mean, if Mox is going to win, they better find a good finish.
So can I answer a question? Because we have a fan that asked me this on Twitter, and it was a good question. I want to clarify it for the other fans that may have thought the same thing. We talk about how it's not good to lose certain matches, and somebody wrote on Twitter, well, Matt, what about when that person's a champion? That's the best of the best. So if you're going to lose to somebody, shouldn't it be a champion? My argument was yes, unless you're a big guy or a big woman, and it's the women's division, right? And you're like a monster heel or something like that, and you're new. No, it's not good no matter who you lose to. You should be being built and built and built and built and built, and you got to stay the hell away. Keep them away from the championship until that monster's ready. So, for example, Murder Hawk.
Lance Archer.
Lance Archer.
I was going to say Hoyt. Lance Archer. Luchasaurus to some degree, I would say.
Brody Lee.
And I'm leaving out your guy. You just said it earlier. Wardlow. Thank you. All right. And next it's going to be Brian Cage. Those are 5 monsters for AEW that they have screwed the pooch on. In my opinion, on their development. You keep them away from championship matches unless you're going to win. You just do that. So there is more credibility when it comes time. So unlike Brian Cage, which nobody thinks is going to beat Cody this week, this next match, I don't think they do. They shouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't think it doesn't help. That's why losing against a title holder is not always good. Sorry.
Xarian X $2 saying Mox has had too many strings of not being there. I mean, I agree with that. I think Jericho, champ or not, Jericho has been the MVP of AEW for quite some time. Anthony Y Buck99 wants to know, okay, how about chocolate or vanilla? Like just
Anthony Y. See, why'd you see? No sell. Keep on. Next.
Dave D wants to know, when did you and I go shirt shopping together?
Yesterday.
Jackson Callens, I'm not open outing you here, Jackson. After we talked about it on the podcast a few weeks ago, Jackson was like, you alluded to Kohl's Cash and like the way to like get the most out of your Kohl's shopping experience. Can you break that down for me? I thought everybody knew about the Kohl's Cash.
I don't know.
When you shop at Kohl's, they give you back a certain amount of your money in Kohl's Cash that you have to wait a couple days to get you to come back in the store, but you can stack that Kohl's Cash, which is usually like 20 or 25% of what you spend, but you could stack that with coupons, with sales. So I can't figure out, like, am I getting ripped off or am I like working the system and getting an amazing deal?
Time out. They give you back about 25% of what you just purchased?
Yeah. In Kohl's Cash.
Yeah.
I need to be going to Kohl's.
Prior to the pandemic, I would say easily, at least once a month, my wife would go to me, hey, do you need any like dress shirts? Do you need anything? I got $25 in Kohl's Cash that's going to go to waste tomorrow if we don't use it. You know, like
Morgans are missing out on this.
Yeah, Kohl's can't figure it out.
Our big one here is TJ Maxx.
Yes, and I saw you got a Publix in Longwood.
Yeah,
dude, I love.
Thanks
Publix.
to the mayor.
No, thanks to our residents telling their mayors is what they wanted.
Yeah, that's awesome. So David Call Buck99, keep it up, chat room. 2 scoops LaBar.
I hate you all. Stop it.
Ross is just sitting there like, this is the most brilliant thing. I don't even have to show up on the podcast. Matt gets angry, and they just keep giving you more money.
Here's the best part, though, is Raj, I don't think had any clue about this. He is so no way. He's so disconnected. It wasn't until like we're like, Raj, you're making a lot of money in this Goonie business. And like remember, he's like, no, I really wanted to see if I didn't get a chance. I'm like, he's just acting. He really wasn't acting. He wasn't trying to encourage more chat room dollars.
Raj Geary has made more money off Goonies in the last year than Corey Feldman has in residuals.
Oh, that was good. That was good.
All
okay.
Raj knows is that his country club dues are being paid by super chats.
Oh my God. Shots fired.
Anthony Y, I've never played Skippo. We were talking about Uno and Skippo the other night.
All right.
Uno's
yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Glenn, it is better. Glenn,
Yes.
do you really quick, a little side note, I'll put Piston fans off with this. Does Raj wear a Kango ever? Has he ever wore a Kango at the country club?
But
with
like
shades. With shades.
Okay, like, and with Kangol, like, there's two different kinds, right? There's Samuel L. Jackson Kangol, and there's LL Cool J Kangol. Like, when I used to think of the Kangol, I used to think of LL Cool J, and then Sam Jackson, like, changed the game in the late 90s with,
But I know they wear it backwards and, like, throw it back on his head.
Yeah, the, like,
right?
triangle cap.
Oh, I'm way off. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Another question. Was Raj an old man, and he wears croquis around his sunglasses to keep them around his neck when he's not wearing them with his collared shirt.
Ooh, perhaps.
I think Raj is much more up to date on fashion than we. I bet you Raj is the type who's wearing dress pants with dress shoe loafers with no socks. Like I can see him doing the no sock but dress shoe game.
If I ever saw that, I would spear him in the lake.
Breaking news 3 minutes ago, Renee Young has confirmed she has COVID. She says, man, what a few days, tweeting, my show gets canceled and I get COVID. Wear your mask and wash your hands. Stay safe, everyone. And with a heart emoji.
The good news here, guys, I got to spin this back because that's terrible. Everyone loves her and they should love her. She's
absolutely
legit. She's the real deal. And she's a huge star, though. She, you know what I mean? Even though that show was canceled, which I disagree with. I love Backstage. I watched every one of them. And it was on late, and I loved it.
Yeah.
But she is such a great talent, you guys. God, this lighting's terrible. She's such a great talent. She's gonna get something, in my opinion. If WWE doesn't be careful, much better because she's, in my opinion, Sports Center worthy easily.
And yeah, she's funny. She in that in the Netflix movie, what is it called? The Main Event. She was the funniest part of that. Like she's great. She could have just such a much bigger career outside of WWE.
She's so comfortable. She does the most hardest thing there is to do on camera when you're just throwing things out there and letting it fly in freestyle. She's able to be comfortable in those predicaments. That is so hard to do. And people generally gravitate to her. Like, you want to love her. I remember back when when we'd wrestle in Canada, she would be on TSN, as I recall. And I thought she was crazy talented.
Yep.
And I remember thinking, she's going to be on ESPN. I remember thinking that. And then when WWE got, I was like, oh my God, score for WWE.
Yeah. Yeah, when she started in Canada, she was on the TSN, and she actually did a wrestling talk show with Jimmy Corderas. I think Arda Ocal as well, and she was
That's
really
what it was. Ocal, I remember Arda.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's absolutely fantastic. I mean, we wish Renee Young speedy recovery.
Damn, so I wonder if she had to do that. She felt maybe the need to say that because, you know, with Mox having to call out, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and she was, as John Nelson's pointing out, she was recently at WWE for Riddle's debut.
What does that mean?
Matt Riddle's debut at SmackDown. Renee was there, and in that segment, I mean, then wasn't that just last Friday? Yeah, I mean, it feels like a lifetime ago.
Well, they filmed it prior to Friday.
Gotcha.
What they're saying is because who knows how long she's had it, for how many days, and how many people she was in contact with.
Oh, all right. Slow in the update here, folks. Gotcha.
So stay tuned to Wrestling Inc. for all the latest news on that front. We were talking about the Fyter Fest card. We can go over more of that later, but it's, you know, we're obviously going to cover both nights. It's going to be on July 1st and July 8th. Britt Baker was hanging out in her car with Reba talking to her. Big Swole rolled up, or in her cart. Big Swole rolled up to the cart, talked some trash. Baker said there's nothing Swole can do this time. Enjoyed a drink. Swole said okay, headed off. Walked up to a high part of the stage, grabbed some trash, and dumped it on Britt Baker.
Big Swole's kind of getting over. She's getting over with me. The only time I didn't like Big Swole is when I thought they made her. I didn't like her in the fan section one night, and she was kind of getting into it with one of the talents. I forget what the match was. I was like, she's way too big a star to be put in one of these little crummy behind the what do you call it, the guardrail, booing and cheering talent. I don't know. I don't like when they do that and they focus in on that. It makes them look like less of a star. And she, I think, screams star.
Yeah.
You're not paying attention. No one's paying attention to me.
I'm sorry. I'm listening to you. I am all the time listening to you.
Justin's doing whatever over there. And my money is on Glenn watching other websites as I was talking.
I was looking. So I want to just quickly address this. Adrian Rees gave a $10 super chat. Adrian with Statement Games saying we should check your Twitter accounts. They tweeted us about a challenge that will benefit Matt Morgan. They're talking, I guess, about raising some money. Statement, like, I need to read all of this. We need to read it all as far as donation contribution rules. Just know we got your super chat, and I'll follow up after the show about this. It's a fantasy sports gaming site. I just want to acknowledge it. But yeah, so I was trying to read it, and it was like, there's no way I can read all of this while we're going on here. Justin Lopez, $5 saying, Renee presented the Intercontinental title to AJ, and that SmackDown was filmed last Monday, so it has been about 10 days then.
Justin Lopez is all over it, dude. He's on my Twitter, too. What's up, Justin?
Dude, our chat room is the best. Like, you guys are just so on top of this.
You guys have your own show. You're going to get us canned. I got to get better late. Right back.
Seriously. So, poor Renee.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
she's the ultimate baby face.
She is. She's so likable. She's not doing her other podcast anymore, it doesn't look like. She had a podcast called Regular Girls with a friend of hers that was absolutely, like, just so entertaining to hear her talk about lots of different topics. In fact, Moxley was on a few episodes of that, and it was really, or sometimes he would, like, stumble into the room while she was recording, and she would tell some very funny Moxley stories on it. I'm bummed she's not doing that podcast anymore. We had Broken Matt Hardy versus Santana with Ortiz tonight. Pretty straightforward match with Hardy getting the win, but afterwards Ortiz smacked Hardy with a loaded sock. And then Santana and Ortiz hit the street sweeper on Hardy. Private Party ran out to the ring, got the other guys out of the ring. And then we closed with Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho. This promo, this face-off here with Jericho saying Orange Cassidy, make sure he runs out of juice. And then them getting into this brawl, it ending with Orange Cassidy bloodied and standing tall as we went off the air. I mean, this just goes to show how quickly from, like, fan favorite, well, from novelty wrestler to, oh, that gimmick has a short shelf life, to surprising fan favorite, breakout TV star, and now he's in the closing segment for one of the most anticipated matches at Fyter Fest.
Yeah, and they confirmed that it's going to be on the second night of Fyter Fest, which on July 8th, which again, that to me means I think that's going to be one of the big bangs of the show. That I think it segues the Tyson Jericho thing. This was entertaining. I'll say that, very entertaining. But here's my only thing: I'm not sure. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Was it the right move to give us this much of these two brawling and getting bloody, and basically for Orange Cassidy again to drop his lazy millennial thing, and he, like, got into it? Like, should that have happened tonight, or should they have saved that for the match?
Normally I'd say yes, but because they're giving it to us all the time, I feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We see it a lot.
So my question is, why do I care about the match now? Because that's what that to me, that's the hook of the match.
Because I think the next step for it is, that's great. It's cute that he can go and he's really athletic. Can he win?
Right.
Against Chris Jericho? Because it's Jericho though. After all, he puts young talent over with no problem. So
I think with the help of with the help of Tyson, Orange Cassidy is going to go down in the record books with the win at Fyter Fest.
Jericho's the best. Like, he's the best because he thinks that way. Do you know what I mean? I wish we had more of him when I was wrestling. I had the opposite when I was wrestling with older talent. Yeah.
Anthony Y, wondering if the Renee situation is going to affect Mox having his match. I mean, it very well could, but if none of it's on night 2, I mean, Essentially, exactly 14 days.
That's what I was going to say. And he has to test positive. I mean, not positive. He has to test negative, rather. Still.
Yeah, he's going to have to quarantine for 2. If he goes in quarantine, which, dude, I mean,
he's going to have it.
But how much would that, Matt, could you imagine? I think you're such a family-oriented guy. I think you'd walk away from the business. If your wife tested positive and you found out about that and it was like, I have a match coming up in 2 weeks, so I either need to quarantine right now for 14 days to have the match or be with you?
I took a buttload doesn't make sense. A buttload of heat from WWE Vince McMahon simply to go ask my wife's dad for his permission and marry his daughter, just to give me the permission in Hawaii. Hell yeah, I'd walk away.
Yeah. And it's being said they're being taped the same night. So yeah, unless they're, I don't know. We'll see.
That's right. That's right. July 8th is being filmed supposedly next Wednesday. It's July 1. So they have to do everything next Wednesday. That's right.
There's no way he can be there.
Yeah. Unless he immediately does try to quarantine for her, but even still.
Supposing he's tested negative this whole time, and now, obviously, she has it. He's going to have it.
Yeah.
Right?
I could see them taping this match special if they say, even if they wait 10 days, I could see them taping this match separately. Like, I don't know how you deal. Like, we're in uncharted territory.
Oh, you mean insert it on the 8th, like film it like on the 7th and then insert it on the 8th? I
mean, right? Because if he tests negative today, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, this is just all speculation, but this is uncharted territory, and I mean, seeing the way AEW's handled this stuff thus far, they've been much more proactive than WWE has. I think that if anyone could figure out a way to do this safely, it'll be them, but who knows? The reality just might not work for that. Terrible Trey 89 with a $4.99 super chat saying Orange Cassidy is cool and the best friends aren't around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They kill him. They bring him down.
So this was a good ending to the show tonight. I mean, Jericho and Orange Cassidy, it's I'm looking forward to that more than anything at Fyter Fest. Just because I know I think this match is gonna be a really, really entertaining surprise. On to NXT tonight. There's the sigh, because we open with Cameron Grimes versus Damian Priest, and Cameron Grimes getting a win.
Hate this. Priest is so talented, and they keep having him lose. Like, I mean, I get helping put over talent, but like at some point you got to put over Priest. You need to like get behind him and give him some like rightful momentum. I don't like him losing here.
I agree.
So with Rhea Ripley, my initial reaction to all this stuff with Robert Stone was like, here's a champion. She was in the title picture. You know, how far has she fallen? She's doing this kind of comedic stuff and getting into it with these vignettes with Robert Stone. And then I had a light bulb moment where I said, no, this is actually great that we've now got every former champion in NXT, every former women's champ has either gone immediately to SmackDown or Raw or a rematch chasing the title after they lose the NXT Women's Championship. So here tonight, we didn't have Io Shirai at all. We had some championship build in a later match, but I like that with Rhea, they're giving her so much airtime, and the story with Robert Stone, yes, it's comedic, but I think that Rhea versus Aaliyah could actually be something.
Well, and then what we find out is going to happen next week, we'll get to later. I mean, I think this is kind of peeling some layers into Rhea. She's more than just the badass, different looking chick.
I like this actually.
I could watch her beat up Robert Stone all day. Like,
me too.
Yeah, like that was really funny.
It was.
And I'm glad Aaliyah's getting some opportunity here.
Getting a good rub out of all this.
Yeah. So we had Santos Escobar versus Jake Atlas. Jake Atlas with a great showing, losing to Santos Escobar ultimately, but with this, so they were referring to the faction as Phantasma. Did I hear that right? And how he's still Santos Escobar, but they're keeping the Phantasma name, but for the faction?
That's what it sounded. Yeah, that's what it sounded. Yeah, it sounded like they're using the Phantasma as like that's like their cartel name. That's like their organization.
That's a terrible name. Look out, it's Phantasma.
I've got tickets to see Phantasma at Hollywood Studios tonight. I'm going to eat at Hollywood and Vine. We're going to go to Phantasma.
What does that sound like to you?
Phantasmic.
Hey, Phantasma tonight.
Phantasmic. Come on, you live right near Disney World. You know Phantasmic? Everybody knows Fantasmic. The Nighttime Spectacular at Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Yes.
Or Phantasm, the horror movie with the ball, and the ball had the claws that would like chase the people. You know that it was like the silver ball, it was like a pinball that had like metal teeth coming out of it. They made like 4 Phantasm movies. Like the tall man was the bad guy. He was like the mortician. It's not my favorite horror film, but it's a B-level horror movie. I mean, you got Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Leatherface, and then it's like the sub-level beneath that of horror films from the 80s.
Sadly enough, I bet you put Scream somewhere in that top level too.
Well, for the 90s though, but the 90s horror movies
what's
are
wrong
totally
with Scream?
different.
It does not deserve to be in the same category with those aforementioned Hall of Fame horror characters.
Yeah,
What about Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
I know what you did. I know what you did last summer.
Nope. Next level down.
That's actually below Scream. You're right. That is below Scream.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that first movie, like effed me up as a kid.
Yes.
I love the one they did in the early 2000s with Jessica Biel. And,
Really?
Yeah. I don't know
Why are you holding a microphone? You can start singing Love Boat songs.
I've been holding a microphone for an hour. You just now noticed?
This is the first time I've stared at you all night.
Oh my god! It's because
why are you wearing that?
Because the mics. Normally it's on a mic stand, but the stand, a piece of metal broke, and I haven't fixed it, so I'm holding it.
I can't hold mine. I was gonna be comedic here, but I can't get that in the shot. It looks funny, Justin.
It does.
I don't have I couldn't get the damn stand. Actually, here's a true story. The stand broke literally 30 seconds before I started my Busted Open segment. Talk about having like the worst luck. We're getting ready to go on air, and my stand, like the thing's falling over, and I was like, "Holy!" So like I was scrambling. You know, there's a little.
Just you holding that, you look like you're just gonna start busting out like airplane food. What's up with that?
Yes.
I mean, I could just put it down and not talk anymore.
I just flew in, and boy, am I on side.
Tip your servers.
Please take my wife. No, please take her.
So if you love comedy, you loved this segment tonight with the Undisputed Era, still haunted by Dexter Lumis, Roderick Strong, in therapy. And I have to say, I turned a corner tonight on Kyle O'Reilly, but for all the wrong reasons. His comedy chops were good, but these are supposed to be like the indie darling guys that get over on their ring work.
Okay. I will remind you, I think the same way you're thinking. And then, of all people, my wife picked up on something. She goes, "You say the same thing about Daniel Bryan, Matt, and look what he turned the yes and no stuff with Team Hell No." Like, you were laughing at his stuff all the time, Matt. Don't say you weren't. You were. She's right. I did. So maybe, who knows? Because this is the layer that these talents need. We keep saying they need to stand out, have more layers to them. I give them credit for trying this new stuff because they've got to start differentiating themselves. They do. And I think O'Reilly has a shot at it now. I do.
I think this is the future for Undisputed Era. If Adam Cole goes to Raw or SmackDown, I think that putting these guys, they're going to need more character. I think.
Oh yeah.
This sketch was beneath Adam Cole, and he did look kind of bored to be there. But I thought Kyle O'Reilly especially stood out with this. I thought Roderick Strong was great. Like, I think there's potential in this, but this is going to be a much different Undisputed Era if Adam Cole moves on.
But what you said is true, though. It stuck out to me for that exact first reason.
Yeah.
Why is Adam Cole shouldn't be doing this crap? But without Adam Cole in it, I think we'd focus a little bit more on the other part of it, which was Cassie O'Reilly doing more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. After that, we saw how Imperium retained the tag titles over Breezango last week. We saw Malcolm Bivens backstage with Indus Sher, and Bivens cutting a promo saying that Indus Sher would have also put Lorcan and Burch in an ambulance last week if he didn't hold them back.
That was a good promo.
Yeah, I thought it was good. We'll see how that goes. And then this, for me, was a huge, pleasant surprise. I admit that all my attention off AEW for Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter teaming up against Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. This was a very fresh women's tag match.
Okay, so they're maybe not my top 5, but they're in my future, I think, top 5. I love this babyface tag team.
Yeah.
If you can't mostly invest in wanting to see them win, something's wrong with you.
If they keep them together and they upgrade their gear,
yes.
I mean, look,
they are the definition of a proverbial babyface. They really are.
And they both have great looks. They're both really good in the ring. I thought this was really, really good tonight. Justin, what did you think of this?
Raquel Gonzalez. You know, I like that. You know, she's doing like the, you know, even down to the name. She's Big Mama Cool. She's you know, she's big. She works as a, I'm just gonna say big man. Nobody in the chat room give me the he, she, whatever. She works like a big man. She works like
Monster heel.
She's not built. She's not built like a Nia Jax. You know, she's probably 5'7", but she's still more muscular.
She works big.
Yeah, and I like it. I like the big boots. I like the big one-handed power bombs.
These are all compliments.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I feel like I gotta be so careful when I talk because somebody's gonna just take something.
No, that's a great compliment. I'm telling you right now because it's true. She's slowed her stuff down. Everything she's doing is much bigger, more powerful, more devastating. Yeah. It's awesome.
Because
when you're taller, that's what you got to do. Vince once told me, tall plays equals big on TV. He once told me.
Right, and in the women's division, even in the women's division, if you bring in Raw and SmackDown, like Charlotte Flair is taller than Raquel Gonzalez, but Charlotte Flair doesn't work like a big performer. She's doing moonsaults and everything else.
Right.
Raquel Gonzalez is standing out. The only other person who really works like a big performer is Nia Jax. You know, so
believe anybody else? No, I think you're right.
Pretty much it.
Well, okay, so after this, Dakota Kai challenged, or issued a warning to NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai, and Gonzalez raised Kai's arm, said this is our next NXT Women's Champion. So I like that we're going to get Dakota Kai versus Io Shirai. That's a good build.
It's a great variety too, right? It's a very believable main event, and it's featuring two of these talents that I would argue would be on the top. The bottom half of my top four normally, and they're kind of switching back in. I don't know.
But this is a good way how they can have a feud that feels really legit and has stakes because of the title. Rhea Ripley can do this stuff with Robert Stone and Aaliyah.
Right.
You know, we can have more action in the women's tag scene. I hope next week we get to see Kaden and Casey versus Shotzi and me and Tegan. Not Mia.
Tegan
pardon me. Tegan and Shotzi. Like, I think that there's so many different directions they can go with the women right now.
Who was the first girl you said before that? The one that's doing Robert Stone?
Rhea Ripley.
So her and Tegan Knox, they're in my top four.
Yeah. There's a lot they could do.
And Glenn, you mentioned next week, and they announced next week NXT is the Great American Bash.
That's cool.
Why is it? I'm surprised to see her celebrating. Remember, for years on this podcast, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Justin. Matt, do you remember Raj would talk about? He would always mock a pay-per-view name. Great Balls of Fire is like, I don't understand. Why can't they bring back a WCW name like Great American Bash? That was always, and I think he stopped because Raj, you were like, Matt, you were like, Raj, man, you must have really loved Great American Bash. Like, why is that what you always go to every time?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But here's what's baffling. Like, I had tweeted because I didn't know if everybody saw it because it happened like right in the main event segments of both shows. So I just tweeted for those who were watching AEW. Yeah. And the overwhelming response, I was just checking my Twitter a second ago, the overwhelming response that I saw was people like, oh, NXT's desperate. Oh, they got to always chase what AEW's doing because AEW's doing Fyter Fest. And my response is, first off, if you're head to head with somebody, I would be more concerned if NXT wasn't doing anything to try to counter program what AEW is doing.
What was your comment to elicit those answers?
I said WWE just announced NXT next week will be Great American Bash, and the response of people was just it was just people immediately jumped on, or at least the ones that decided to actually tweet a comment. It was just a ton of AEW support and like bashing NXT, and I'm like, I'd be concerned if NXT they at least on July 8th are going to have Adam Cole versus the winner of our main event tonight. So I'm glad that they're doing something for next Wednesday.
Don't we want that? That's what we thought AEW was going to do. It was going to make AEW WWE get off their asses.
Yes.
And start to make pluses to the show that they desperately need.
Right. So I'd be more concerned as a fan if NXT wasn't doing anything. And then it's like, look, to NXT's credit, they just found we know wrestling fans love nostalgia. They just had great success with the in your house gimmick. And so if WWE and by proxy, NXT owns all of these great nostalgic things that they own, whether it's WWE, ECW, or a WCW property. Vince, other than an old school Raw, Vince doesn't really tap into the throwbacks anymore. So if Triple H has it legally at his disposal to use for NXT and that fan base, why would you not use it?
Which is why we need the NXT roster singing Land of a Thousand Dances.
I'm glad that was out of the field.
That's like, I watch a lot of old music video shows, like it's Night Flight, Night Tracks from TBS, all the stuff's on Internet Archive. I pop every time the music video for Land of a Thousand Dances.
You gotta know how to pony.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Every time I pop for that, but I do admit I pop bigger for the Super Bowl Shuffle every time that comes on.
Do you pop from Classic Freddy Blasted saying, "Yeah, do the alligator"?
The whole thing, and the way they're like getting in the camera and pointing, and like half of them like clearly can't sing. I'm pretty sure isn't
the
that
fake saxophone players when Vince does stand back?
Well, I mean, like Super Bowl Shuffle suffers these same problems. You know,
I love the Super Bowl Shuffle.
Everyone does.
I even had a headband and wrote Pluto on it, even though I wasn't a Jim McMahon fan. How about that for dorkdom, folks?
I think Steve's verse in Super Bowl Shuffle is the most underrated of the Super.
What was it?
I just remember he's like, "This here, Steve." Like the way he just says it is just, he's so like, but he sells it like he can't rap at all. I mean, very few people in the Super Bowl Shuffle could.
Right. Thank you.
You know,
they were all equally rotten.
Yeah, but yet there's something about that song. I listen to that song probably once every 3 or 4 months. I just put it on my iPod.
That thing was enormous.
Huge. And other teams did it. The 49ers put out a single.
Oh, so the Patriots and we, or Patriots and me. Yeah. I was like,
yeah,
oh, this is terrible.
I think the LA Rams had one. The LA Rams one I think was like the worst of them all, but it was huge. Sports songs were huge back in the day.
They were, man.
Justin's too young. He remembers none of this.
You're out of mind.
You never seen the Super Bowl Shuffle?
I don't think so.
I mean, they're the Bears. They're the shuffling crew. They're shuffling on down, and they're doing it for you.
For you.
And they weren't doing it because they're greedy. They're just doing it to feed the needy.
I forgot that part.
I can do the electric. I can do the electric slide. I don't think that's in the Super Bowl Shuffle.
No. I can't believe that. And by the way, P.S. I think Glenn, you and I are literally the only demographic right now on this podcast that know this. I hope not.
You have to go to YouTube. Old. Like, if people have never seen it, if people are too young, go to YouTube and search WWF Land of a Thousand Dances and search Super Bowl Shuffle and just understand this is what Matt and I grew up on, and this was cool. This was the epitome of cool.
It honestly was. I'm not exaggerating that.
I remember Vince McMahon and Stand Back. I remember that. There
you go. But do you remember it as? I think you remember it as a replay. I have a feeling.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't say that I was like watching it live, but I know that reference.
Yes.
10 years younger than you guys. I need a handicap here.
Justin Cortinas 499 asking what happened in Stone Cold's podcast. I didn't know he's been running classic shows. That's interesting.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. Huh. So sorry. Okay, let's I'll get to these other super chats. Well, Steve Marcuccielli, $1.99. So could Cross be a star on the main roster? I wonder how.
Hell yeah.
Justin, I know you love that term, main roster, but I wonder how long Cross will be in NXT for.
I don't know, but I think we might have skipped over that match. But his entrance.
Well,
tonight,
we'll get to that next.
Okay. Well, again, his entrance. I tweeted this down to camera angles, production elements of the smoke, the video wall, the music, everything. It is always what WWE and NXT can do better than any pro wrestling company in the world. They can produce entrances and produce TV for TV better than anybody. So we can knock on creative and stuff, but man, you just that 90 seconds is like a must-see 90 seconds. You can't look away from that entrance of he and Scarlett. That's big. Like, it makes me think I want to see a stadium full of people Mania entrance like this for him. Like when you can start thinking what's his Mania entrance going to look like, that's the seeds. That's the start of a big star.
I agree with that. Justin Lopez, $2 saying they announced the Bash is a 2-week event. Okay, that does seem a little.
Did they really?
What does that mean?
Well, they're doing exactly what Fyter Fest is doing. It's a 2-week event.
So they're counter programming Fyter Fest for both weeks. That's great.
Kevin R. Alexander, $5 is saying Raquel Gonzalez is legit 6 feet tall. She played college basketball before WWE.
Okay, I like her even way more right now. I did not know that. That means she's a stud
legit 6
athlete
feet,
in
though?
real life. That's great. Wow. I mean, that's serious. That means she's got good footwork automatically. Wow, and she's 6 feet.
David Call, Buck 99 wants to know scoops. Were those fans in contact with Orange Cassidy and Jericho?
Justin, don't fake laugh that off. He just very
Scoops.
calmly, cool and collectively referred to you as scoops. How do you feel, Justin? Go.
All I can answer is what you saw on TV. I mean, the fans, what you saw on TV is how close those fans in those two sections got to
Don't
Orange
you
Cassidy and Jericho.
dare undermine and forget my question.
What?
How does it make you feel that a fan just, referred to you as scoops?
Matt, I have LaBarbarians across the world. I'm very used.
LaBar what? Wait, what?
LaBarbarians. That's the name of my fan base. I'm the leader of LaBarbarians.
Now are you LaBar? Oh my God! You should have been all over this. Day one.
I've had LaBarbarians since 2010.
What? Why aren't you like?
Yes.
We've been doing this podcast together a long time, Justin.
Yes. Why now?
I thought you guys were already registered LaBarbarians. I didn't realize you were just now stumbling upon
Don't
this.
play it cool.
Yeah, I am going to play it cool.
That is an amazing nickname. LaBarbarians. That's pretty good. I will give it up. That's a great name.
Justin, you should have literally dropped that mic after LaBarbarians.
Well, no lie.
Yes. I've never said I should have. I've never said it on this podcast, but that goes back to the early days of Chair Shot Reality. I can honestly say that.
How the hell do I watched that?
Yeah,
why do I feel like I don't remember that?
That was an early
Tammy, like the hardcore fans, like everyone just like completely just Michael Myers Justin just gimmicked himself. Love it.
Tammy's was the funniest stuff.
Yeah, like everyone just in awe at this here.
Because it's an awesome, you gotta give it up. That's an awesome nickname. LaBarbarian. That is great. Dude, too bad you weren't a full-on pro wrestler. That's a great gimmick.
I used to at the gimmick table. I had LaBarbarian stuff. When I'm doing the manager stuff, I've monetized it.
You can't be a manager and be a LaBarbarian, dude. LaBarbarian, some dude who eats people's arms.
No. LaBarbarians are those who follow me, those who are in the Justin LaBar fan base. I've monetized it in that regard with the hashtag.
So you're not LaBarbarian. You're saying the fans of you are LaBarbarians.
The fan that is my culture. That is my posse. That is my people.
Okay,
they are LaBarbarians.
Okay. They say hello. My name is LaBarbarian.
Yeah. Hi, I'm LaBarbarian number 33. I live in Rhode Island. I've been a fan since.
Or like the Thing shirts. Remember those? They say Thing 1, 2, 3, 4. You're LaBarbarian 1, 2, 3, 4. With your sweet face and hat on backwards. It's too big.
This is too big. I'm so mad. I love this hat because
I hate that.
But it is a little bit too big. I know it bothers me, but I don't know.
Mine stretches out over time, and that's when I got to throw it out and get a new one.
Yeah, it was a nice gift from my mom, but she got me a little bit too big a couple Christmases ago. So she's the number one LaBarbarian, obviously.
I hope. Someone needs to be.
I'm just like, I know we got some wrestling to talk about. I'm like,
no, we don't.
I need to reconcile all this.
Uncovered not even a gem. Like this is whatever was bigger than a gem. This is what we just uncovered here, folks. Like seriously.
Tammy, Justin's followers have a name, but Seth Stone.
Tammy's witty as hell, by the way. She's funny like on the tweets too.
I'm gonna go off and register the Glenclave.
No way.
It's not as good. It's not as good.
Wow. That's so good.
Terrence Whitted, $5 says, Matt, what age would you consider old to break into the wrestling business as a wrestler?
I know when I was still actively wrestling, if you were like 30 to start, okay, a different question. To start, I would say anything over 24, 25. When I started on Tough Enough, I remember Jim Ross saying it on TV. If he's gonna start, he needs to start now. And I was like 25. You know what I mean? So I just use that age. But then the wrestling's changed today since then. So I would argue even younger. I'd say 22, 23.
Wow. Really?
Unless you're a former, like a different kind of pro athlete. You know what I mean? You're coming from a different sport to this, and you're like just some stud athlete or whatnot. There's always going to be somebody that breaks that mold, obviously. But I think on average, I would say for WWE Performance Center, I think anything over 25, no.
So my question is, do you think it's because of athletic ability, or do you think it's about you need to be able to set aside friends, family? You need to essentially make it your life, not only with touring, but with like fitness regimen, training. Like that's not an older person's game.
It takes years to get it, first and foremost, right? It takes a while to get it. I would argue most WWE talents still today haven't gotten it yet because they still need more experience, more time to quote unquote get it fully. I'd say your sweet spot. If you start to say at 22, that person's sweet spot, if they're advancing at the right stages and whatnot, should be hitting their peak and prime years. I'd say 28 through 34.
Well, and that's what worries me with some of the talent that we had that we love in NXT is that the goal, right? Everybody's goal was you want to get to Mania, right? And it's like, Keith Lee, Damian Priest, those are just two guys right there.
Right.
They're in their late 30s. They're not, so you start thinking like, okay, like how much time do they have to
right.
And I
worries you.
Yeah, and I love both those guys. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot. But there's more of that. If you start looking at like when Joe comes in, Samoa Joe comes in, he's in his late. It's like you start looking like how much are they going to get out of him?
So different, yeah. Joe and them would be a different comparison because Joe's a big star of TNA, Ring of Honor, much better than Keith Lee was. But
true, yeah.
They should have backed that bus up to the money, whatever you want to call it. I'm killing my analogy here, but they should have backed that money bus up to Keith Lee and that Roman Reigns spot with him that they did. Immediately, he should have been on Raw that next night.
Okay.
And then the stare down, and then the interaction he has with Brock at the Rumble. It's like, man,
so good.
I agree. So quickly, Jackson Callens 499 wants to know about us doing Cobra Kai season 3 review when it airs.
I agree. We should do it. Okay. Yes, Raj.
We'll do something.
Raj, he said you'll get super chat money. I would agree to do that. I would agree to do that podcast, by the way.
Armando Gomez 499 saying the Barbarian's the best thing he's heard since Test had his testicles.
Test was hilarious with that. That was good.
So let's talk about this. Karrion Kross versus Bronson Reed. I put a bunch of money. I thought Bronson Reed was going to win tonight. Sorely disappointed. Bad call.
Why would you think that?
No, I didn't think that. I'm saying, why would anyone think that?
Oh, okay. I didn't catch the sarcasm. Whew, thank God, Glenn. You had me worried there.
I was like, I think this Bronson Reed guy.
I give this 6 more months before Vince takes him out of there. He's the full. He's a full act, ready to go.
Yeah.
And it might only be 6 months because in the meantime, Vince is dealing again with all the stresses of what's going on and no fans and such. But if we were in normal times, he might have him by SummerSlam.
Yeah. The whole package.
Rhea Ripley versus Aaliyah. This went how you thought it was going to go. Aaliyah actually got some offense in. I popped when Robert Stone threw his shoe at Rhea Ripley.
That was pretty good.
It was just so random. And
good on Beth Phoenix to enter the famous quote, "Who throws a shoe?"
I love what he's doing. Robbie's so much better than this. They need to get him in the ring eventually.
They are next week,
but not with this door character of his.
I don't know, man. Matt, wouldn't you like to be on TV every week and collect that paycheck and not have to take bumps?
He's so good, man. I don't know. He's such a good promo too. He's taking this ridiculous character and he's pulling it off. He's making it work. It's entertaining. Don't get me wrong. It's just that I've seen Robbie E for so long, be Robbie E for so long. It's hard for me to unsee how good he is. And he's shredded. He's in great shape. He looks like an athlete, wrestles like an athlete. Good looking guy. This is Jameson.
Justin Lopez pointing out this was Rhea's first win since NXT Portland in February.
Wow. Really, Justin Lopez? Wow. March, April, May, June. Wow, that's a long time. What the hell? And they wonder why Rhea Ripley isn't where she should be? There you go.
Dexter Lumis versus Roderick Strong, and Roderick Strong wasn't ready yet. Dexter Lumis won by count out because Roderick Strong was too scared.
Yeah. Roddy's a tough one for me to digest. I'm not a fan. I don't not like him. I'm just not a fan. He's just there to me.
So Aaliyah and Ripley are going to have a rematch, it looks like, next week. Then they announced there's going to be Dakota Kai versus Tegan Nox versus Mia Yim versus Candice LeRae in a fatal 4-way next week to become the new number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship to challenge Io Shirai. And Dexter Lumis versus Roderick Strong in NXT's first ever strap match official for next week.
How come that's the first time they've had a strap match?
I just don't think they've gotten around to it before.
Which this is good because this is the strap match gimmick fits perfectly with this. It's something
it
that Roddy can't get away from him, so he's tethered to him. It's great.
I'm telling you, everyone says this. Maybe they don't anymore. Hunter's, I can't wait for him to take over. I can't believe saying that, but I really can't wait for him to take over. His stuff makes sense. It just does. From pay-per-view names, if we're going to tip of the cap to the past, right? He's a huge historian of wrestling, a huge student of the game, if you will. He really is. And then the matches and storylines that happen in NXT. Oh, Matt, but only 2 hours. How can you compare that to what? SmackDown? That's 2 hours? I do. And I love NXT better. I'm sorry. It's my favorite show. And for WWE.
And what's hopefully going to continue to work in Triple H's favor. You hate to talk about somebody being deceased, but whenever his time comes, when it is time for him to have the throne,
yes, that's what I meant.
What's going to come into play is I think he's going to recognize he's going to keep being in charge of the day-to-day of the programming and oversee that. He's going to delegate via his wife, via his brother-in-law, via the other executives to handle boardroom business stuff that he didn't go to school for. It's not his passion or interest. He's going to delegate that appropriately. And where we always hear Vince is a guy who doesn't sleep. He has to have a hand in everything. I think Triple H has shown he's going to focus on what he's passionate about, which is running the day-to-day of all the wrestling. And he's going to let the other people handle the boardroom stuff.
He's doing a great job. NXT for years has been that best show. I'm sorry for WWE, in my opinion.
Well, in this main event tonight, for the North American title, the triple threat Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano versus Keith Lee.
Ooh.
Now, the winner is going to face Adam Cole on July 8th for a winner-take-all match.
This was awesome.
Temporarily unifying the NXT Championship and North American Championship.
Why?
Well, don't. That's not.
Well, not unifying.
Don't say unify. That's just going to be somebody's going to be holding both titles.
But you know what I mean. It's going to be on the same
but when
person.
you say unify, that makes it feel like it's going to merge.
One belt.
Listen, temporarily.
No, there will not be one belt. There'll be 2 belts. Admit it, Klein.
Yeah.
There'll be 2 belts.
It's this was a great 3-way. This was really good.
Yeah, very good. And I was really interested to see who wins this because in my mind, obviously the winner taking on Cole, who's the world champion. He's had the record.
It's gonna be the next champion, right?
Right. I figure whoever's going to win this is going to beat Cole.
Me too.
Yeah. And it's gonna be.
There's
Keith
nothing
Lee.
more for Adam Cole to do.
Keith Lee, prime.
Right. So, so it seems like Keith Lee would be that person. We'll have to tune in on July 8th, and then it makes you wonder, okay, is Adam Cole going to Raw or SmackDown at that point?
What'd you think of this match tonight, Matt?
He said he liked it. I don't know where he is. But he said he liked it.
So this is what happens when I'm looking at the results. What'd you think of the match, Justin?
Oh, I mean, very good. These three would have to try to have a bad match. That's how. These three.
Which would actually be pretty entertaining. Could you imagine if these three went out there and guys, let's have the worst match ever?
Yeah. No, these three. This is great. It's a different type of competition head to head to what you're seeing with Orange Cassidy and Jericho. This is where DVR is, where YouTube is, where some of this stuff comes in handy. But these three would have to try to have a bad match. They're not going to have a bad match, but I'm watching because I figured, okay, whoever wins this is probably your next world champion.
No, I agree with that. It was good. I think Keith Lee is perfect to be the next champion. I think his trajectory's been great. And I'm curious where Adam Cole goes from here. Matt, what did you think of this main event match? I'm sorry, Justin.
No, I said it was amazing.
Yeah. Just see if you had other thoughts.
No, this was great, and it shined who it was supposed to shine by the win. Yeah. The win meant something.
I'll say this. So if it's going to be Adam Cole versus Keith Lee, one of the two is going to be leaving NXT. It would seem and go to Raw or SmackDown. If Adam Cole still retains this, and now he was the inaugural North American champion. So if his world title reign continues to be record-setting in days, and he gets the North American title back again, to me that screams. And I'm not necessarily upset about this. To me, that screams Triple H is hoarding and holding on to him for dear life, trying to buy time until Vince gets him at Raw or SmackDown. Like that, to me, that screams Triple H saying, "I need Adam Cole here for as long as I can have him. Please don't take him." And then Keith Lee goes to Raw or SmackDown.
Well, if he doesn't want to get rid of either one of them, both of them having titles actually would make it harder for them to take them off that roster and pull them up to Raw or SmackDown. You see what I'm saying? He could say the same argument about Keith Lee. Come on, Vince is my North American champion. Nobody cares about North American Championship, Hunter. We're taking him up. Well, I do. Come on, don't take him. Then maybe he doesn't.
Yeah.
You like my but Keith Lee's the bigger star. No way around it.
And he seems like a more traditional guy that Vince would want to work with in terms of size and stuff.
And he should. He's awesome.
Yep.
And he's going to be great for them when everybody comes back to these arenas. He's going to be awesome to go out to do the all the PR stuff.
Yeah.
He's he feels like such a good guy, like in real life, like how he talks and just everything. He sucks you in whenever he talks in interviews. The one he did with Mark Henry, did you guys see that backstage? He was awesome on that.
Yes.
I mean, he's a superstar, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Undisputed Era adjusts. But I have to say this, the Dexter Lumis Roderick Strong thing, the strap match, playing it a little more comedy, I think these guys are going to go in a really different direction. And in NXT, I think that's going to work. My biggest knock on them has been that there's Adam Cole and there's the backing band. Now they're giving the backing band personality.
Which we've asked them for that, so we got to let it.
And I would argue it took Bobby Brown leaving New Edition for Ralph Tresvant, Michael Bivens, DeVoe,
so guess
and
what?
Biv.
Ralph Tresvant still didn't get over.
What life must be like to be Ralph Tresvant?
Jobber.
Ralph Tresvant was like the voice of all the New Edition hits. He sang lead more than Bobby Brown did. Bobby Brown left,
Nobody
and
knows that.
Tresvant was the Genetti.
Nobody knows that, though. What does that say?
I know. So Johnny Gill comes in. Next thing you know, he's guest starring on Family Matters.
This is 2 weeks in a row we've talked about Johnny Gill. Amazing.
It is. Tim Mickles, Buck99, thoughts on Kofi's impression of AJ Styles intro. I only noticed that on Twitter when people pointed out that when AJ came out to the ring, Kofi was mimicking AJ's intro moves.
Yeah, I saw that. Kofi's funny as hell.
Kofi is very funny.
Yeah.
Wait, Justin, you have a theme song?
I do.
Nate Erickson is saying if you haven't heard it, $5 to plug the Justin LaBar theme song by Montezi on YouTube. It's seriously good.
So thank you, Nate Erickson. I do have a theme song. It's called Reality Check. That's always been the gimmick of all, Reality Check, Chair Shot Reality. Montezi actually does he does Big Swole's theme music.
Wow.
He does a couple other people. Yeah, and he's a really good artist. I really encourage you guys to look him up on social media.
You told us this once before, actually.
Yeah, he's a really good up and coming artist. But he does. There's a theme song. I'll tell you what. If the beat alone, just if you're working out, running, it's a good beat. I was so proud of it. I can't do it.
Come on.
No.
I want to know, and I can't hang up the phone to go watch it and get off the show.
As soon as we get off the show, how about as soon as we get off the show, I'll send it to you.
I'm not going to care by then.
Is it your ringtone, Justin? Is it your ringtone?
No, that's a good idea.
That is a good idea. I know.
Yes, because then we can hear it.
Although my phone's been on.
Glenn, can't you share screen and bring it up?
I could. We won't get taken down for a copyright flag or
yeah, probably will. Justin, just do the beat to it then. How about that? That's easy. You don't have to sing. Just if there's a beat
for us, Justin.
No, don't beatbox. Just give us the beat though, bro.
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up.
Glenn,
I can't. I'm not doing it justice. This is terrible. You're trapping me. You're trapping me.
Yell at Glenn right now for completely ruining that.
I'm sorry,
nerd. He was going to do it until you're like, I'm gonna pull it up.
Pull it up, Glenn.
But first, Justin, do it for Matt. I'll pull it up in a second. But just
nope. Thanks, Glenn.
I'm
going into it. Meanwhile, home on the ranch.
There's even a lyric in it where he says, "I'm the Vinnie Mac of wrestling." There's even a lyric.
Mark.
I didn't write the lyrics. He wrote the lyrics.
So therefore, it must be true.
Yeah, right.
So what? How did this? Was this from your show?
Yeah, I used it for my wrestling reality podcast. I use it
or something.
I use it on the indie scene. If I'm not coming out with Wardlow or with the talent, if it's just me, I use it as my independent.
All right. Listen.
Reality check. Reality check. Reality check. Go.
Right there.
He says it. Copious times. Copious times.
People of my connection. Everything I say and do become perfection. Teaching all of you, there's no one greater than me. The crowd is on their feet, nothing they haven't seen. I'm approved, I know it all in this business. Reality, my thoughts, you'll never see the difference. Speaking on my thoughts and I put it into existence. Defending Mac radio, everything you've been missing. They call me the villain. I speak naturally.
He's talking about himself, not you. Good way to try to steal it, though. Vinnie Mac of radio. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was good.
Yeah. Okay, well, this goes on for like 2 more minutes.
Guitar.
P.S. He was talking about himself, putting
No, he
himself
wasn't.
over
He's speaking.
gratuitously.
No, he's speaking. No, everything he's saying is he's speaking about me.
He's writing
it was for
from
my
the
radio show.
perspective of Justin LaBar.
He's writing about
Okay,
me, Matt Morgan.
okay.
Yeah, I'm the Vinnie Mac of
Okay.
radio. Everything I
Okay.
say, it's a reality check.
It's
I
like,
didn't know he had a
remember when
radio
LL Cool J did Deepest Bluest on Deep Blue Sea? He wrote like he was the shark, like he was
Yes.
rapping, not like he was LL. You know, it's very similar.
Yes. No, I get it. I didn't know Justin did radio. I thought he did, it was a chair shot reality TV show thing.
I had
Internet
a couple day radio show here in Pittsburgh for 4 or 5 years straight. That's what started that.
Were you
what made
on
him
before Madden or after? Or not even on the same day?
different thing? But he would come on mine. Matt would come on mine.
Justin Lopez, $5. Endgame has to
Justin.
be Lee versus Cross. Been all for Keith Lee going to the main roster, but I'm all for a Cross and Lee feud.
I would say that for the main roster. The only reason why Cross is not ready to be beat yet.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I do not want to see Keith Lee beat yet either.
But I could see Mia Yim beating Scarlett.
Did I miss something? Where did that come from?
Well, because Mia and Lee.
Where does it say that on there?
No, it doesn't. I'm just saying that I could see
Oh.
them finding a way to mix it up with the couples because Mia and Keith have been together and Scarlett and
Okay.
Cross.
Nobody loses any heat on that.
Kazarian X $2, or they could do a DQ finish next week or on the 8th with Lee versus
Kazarian X. Are you a Frank Kazarian fan, or is that really your name too? Last name. Don't reply to me on Twitter. I'll read it.
He's gonna pay.
It's funny, like we talked about this before. When people make their screen names, you can really tell what people were into in their headspace when they came up with the screen name. Until you reach an age where you just use your name.
Although he has a WCW, but he has a WWF, WWE at the time, WCW logo, not the old school WCW logo, which is much better, I thought.
I get annoyed by people like on Twitter and social media who make their profile picture other
The
people,
wrestler?
like another
Yeah.
wrestler or something. Like that's just so weird.
I always assume I'll just be honest, like as a teenager, because that was something that I would probably do. I'd probably have Michael Jordan back in my day if Instagram or Twitter was around as my profile pic.
Maybe, I don't know.
If I was a kid, I would, yeah.
If somebody critiques me and their handle is
I would.
John Cena FU 6969 and their picture is like, I'm like, all right, none of your critique doesn't count.
Well, if you're an adult, I agree with that.
Well, I don't know if they are an adult or a teenager, but I just automatically assume I'm not going to even.
But I'm just saying, as a fan, I think it'd be so cool to be able to go on Iron Cheeks or something like that, or Nikolai Vol, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, just some random '80s wrestler back when I was a kid, and just ask all these questions and be in contact with them. That's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think it's lost its luster today because we all try to be good and get back to fans all the time. Where I do think a lot of that illusion gets lost.
Yeah, I think we're right now. I mean, celebrity culture, people are more accessible than ever.
Right. Yes. And
It's
you want to be
interesting.
good to your fans. That's why you want, or not even fans, friends even half the time, I'd argue, because you get along with them. You're a fan just like they are. So happens you're fortunate enough to be in the business or whatever the sport is, maybe. You know what I mean? And you never lose that. and you have that in common with that person. Problem is, it does make you so accessible that Cornette. Somebody used to tell me this in OVW. Maybe it was Nova. That if I found myself becoming too accessible, one day they won't pay to come see me. I never understood that. I was like, I'm a rookie. I think it's cool that fans even like me and want an autograph or something after a show, right? I don't know.
But you're right. There's a fine line. And if you're an independent wrestler that works the same town or same promotion like every month or every couple months, and you're always going out to the local bars, local restaurants, and you're for free mingling and taking pictures with the fans who you're trying to charge an hour earlier, you become too much of just another person with them. Like I see too many indie guys, even in this area that are in the area that I'm in, that add too many of these fans on Facebook. They accept their friend requests. I'm like, what? No, don't do that, because you're becoming too relatable to them, which that presents a problem of when's it going to stop? They're not going to pay to see you. They just assume you're their friend and you'll see them anyways.
What about the Facebook part? Because you said because you shouldn't want those fans to see what your personal life is about to ruin the character. To
an extent, yeah. If these guys or girls have a Facebook account and they do anything out of character and talk about personal life, I think it's a mistake. It's a mistake.
I've seen this like with especially a lot of the like Comic-Con appearances and people that like charge for photos. And I even saw this with an AEW wrestler, I won't say who, but they were doing an indie date in the Bay Area last year. And they were talking to people and they would talk with anyone. But if someone wanted to get a photo, like they had a handler that would step in and be the bad guy and be like, we're charging for photos. Like you guys can just, it would be unfair to everyone else that we're charging if we did this with you for free.
So that's all good. But the only problem is, it puts the fan on the spot, and worse, it embarrasses that wrestler. Because what happens when the fan goes, no, I just spent 18 minutes talking to Johnny Moxley. I'm cool.
Yeah. I'd rather do that. I'd rather have a conversation than a photo.
I definitely would with a wrestler. If I was as a kid, I would have killed for that. Yeah. Yeah.
It's an interesting time. Matt, you'll pop for this. Username 13 Anarchy got their name from Red, White, and Crew. Track 13 is their cover of Anarchy in the UK.
Oh, that's a great call. That is a great call. That's a cool screen name. As a Crew fan, I love that.
I remember when I got into the punk scene in the mid-90s and local bands, like I felt like the biggest poser ever that I was much more familiar with Motley Crue's version of Anarchy in the UK than the Sex Pistols version.
Oh, same here. Definitely. That was my introduction to it, actually, was the Crue's version.
Yes.
Love Motley Crue. It's my first by a bullet, number one favorite band ever.
That was such a word growing up too, Glenn. Poser. When you get labeled a poser, you're not real. You're a poser.
Yeah, it was.
You do not want to be a poser. After the movie Rad came out, my friends had their GT and Mongoose bikes. My mom got me a Ross Piranha, and everyone was like, "Oh, Ross, that's a poser freestyle bike." And I was like, I remember I've spent my lifetime apologizing to my mom for like how shitty I was as a child.
Oh man.
And that was a big one. Like, I'm sorry that I dissed the Ross Piranha you got me.
Yeah. They didn't know,
Yeah, I know. Well, it's like the GoBots Transformers thing. You want Transformers, you get GoBots. GoBots are a poser toy, man.
You could not tell that they were lesser than because they were smaller than the Transformers.
It's tough.
Jetfire, freaking Soundwave, Omega Supreme, any of these little GoBots.
I thought Scooter was a cool character. I like the GoBots cartoon. I thought the GoBots cartoon was fun.
I tried to get into it because I felt like I was missing out on this different alternate world of Transformers. I swear.
By the way, Rad is out on 4K high def digital on disc.
Sorry. I didn't mean to step on your pop. One more thing.
Yeah.
Gem and the Holograms. Awesome show.
Yes. Well, the Misfits were where it was at.
It was, but the hook of that song was very, very good. The hooks of the cartoons when we were kids was awesome. Even He-Man. All of them.
No, I agree. I've tried to rewatch some Gem, and the Misfits were the way cooler band in that series.
By far. They always had better music too, right?
But it's like in the first or second episode, we just put it on and left it in the background. And I kid you not, like, I don't know how this happened on a kid show in the 80s, but like the Misfits like burned down an orphanage. I just kept thinking, like, how did this happen on a kid show, a kid's cartoon? Like, this is like Cobra never did that on G.I. Joe. Cobra had a sinister plot. Like, they would shoot people with lasers, but they never really did anything too sinister. You remember when Cobra was like, we're going to start a heavy metal band called Cool Slither. And we're going to have a subliminal message in it to convert people to Cobra.
I feel terrible right now. I don't remember this. Really?
Yes, Cool Slither, yes. They had a
love
song.
G.I. Joe. How do I not remember this? Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
It's on YouTube. Look it up. Cool Slither.
Folks, this is my decline. You just witnessed it live on air. This is where I get old and I start forgetting things.
But there are times when we tuned out. Like I was watching The Toys That Made Us on Netflix, and the episode about He-Man. And like
that was awesome.
some of those later ones, like I moved on from He-Man by the time they got to like
She-Ra?
like not She-Ra, but remember what was it like the guy, and it had a name like Man-E Faces, like where it like flipped around.
Manny Faces.
Yeah,
he had
Manny
3 faces. You spun his head up there.
Yeah, that's about the time when I moved on from He-Man.
Oh man, Manny Faces was like a first generation.
Was it? Huh.
Yeah, I swear to God. But I will point this out. I did move on when She-Ra came out because that was the next cartoon that would come on right after, and it was a great transition. I think their heels on that, except for like Skeletor and Beastor and a few of them on He-Man, was better. They had the Evil Horde that were great villains on that show.
I have to say, as a kid, I didn't realize that it was like made fun of and considered a bomb. I thought the He-Man movie with Dolph Lundgren was really good when I was a kid.
Right, same here.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was
such
a
a
good
big
movie.
stink about. We have to go see this, please. This was like a present for me, as I recall.
Yeah,
for a report card, I think, or something.
And Frank Langella playing Skeletor. Frank Langella is like a legit serious actor. Like that was a get.
Yeah. So was Dolph Lundgren. He was Rocky IV. Yes.
Top of the world.
Yes.
Disappointed when I realized Dolph Lundgren was not actually Russian. Blew my mind as a kid. I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. Justin's just sitting there in silence. Like I'm too young.
So Justin,
Ivan Koloff was also not Russian.
It's true.
None of this rings any bells at all.
Zip.
So do you know what He-Man was, though, right? Or no?
I know what it was. Yeah.
I wonder if Glenn, let's put this in perspective and create like a gauge on this. Is us talking about He-Man like our dad talking about the original G.I. Joe, the original $1 G.I. Joe?
Yeah, but it's a little different, though. I think for Justin, I mean, we talked about this. We were talking about Degrassi. Like, Justin's in this gap, right? Like, before it was original, like, too young for the original and too old, or pardon me, like between the original and then like too old for the nostalgia of it when it came back. Because He-Man had that nostalgia pop, you know?
Of Degrassi, you mean?
Yeah, well, there was the original Degrassi in the late 80s, and there was Degrassi
which I had to watch in health class. Remember
yes, we had to watch it in English.
Yeah.
Learned a lot of stuff from Degrassi.
Yes.
But there was the second series that came out in the early 2000s. That's the one Drake was on. And like
Drake was on Degrassi Junior High?
Degrassi The Next Generation, yeah.
I did not know this.
And Joey Jeremiah came back. Snake from the original was the principal, like the teacher, then the principal on the new one. And it ran for like 15 years, Matt. It was a long-running series. It's all on Netflix and Tubi and stuff now.
Wow.
Yeah, but Drake was on that show for like years. Drake was on that show for like 8 years before he left.
The Drake?
The Drake. He rapped in an episode, and I remember I heard through like a Degrassi like fan site that you could buy a single. I remember PayPaling Drake like $5 to a Hotmail address, and he mailed me a CDR with like a laser printed cover on it, and he signed it in like ballpoint pen. He autographed it. Like Drake's first demo, I remember ordering.
All right, how about this then, Glenn?
Yeah.
Justin, do you remember mixtapes? Did they have mixtapes?
Oh yeah. I remember mixed cassette tapes. I remember sitting around waiting for the radio to play a song, to burn songs, and
well, there's that, but then there's like DJ Mr. C and like really good.
Oh yeah, that
DJ rap
yes.
But then there's also mixtapes like I'm just started dating this girl. Like
yes. You all better admit it right now. You've done this for a girl.
Yep. I've had it done for me actually too. So I mean, I remember that. I remember that's something I can. Yeah, it's weird.
All done this.
But you're right.
Guy out there watching this, don't play cool and you don't say you didn't do this. You did.
We were watching an old episode of TBS Night Tracks from 1991. And like Extremes More Than Words came on, and I was just like talking to my wife about like I was like, oh, this was on like every mixtape that like a guy made for a girl made for a guy, and then they followed it up with like Paula Abdul's. See, Matt's disappearing. He's probably got some mixtape skeletons. He doesn't want coming out. Followed up with Paula Abdul's Rush Rush. That was where she redid Rebel Without a Cause with Keanu Reeves in the video. Like it was a real awkward trip down memory lane. And lot of teenage dating. Anyhow, we've driven Matt off with our mixtape talk.
We've almost been 2 hours in.
I know. And you know what? Our numbers have gone up. Our numbers
have
have gone up this entire show.
That's good.
More people hang out. But hey, we're going to be back Friday. Stay tuned, Le Barbarians. All these years.
Yep.
Now you drop that on us.
Yep. I could only rely on the Vince impression for so long. I had to bring something new out for you.
Well, I'm impressed, Justin. As
As I hold my microphone like I'm Tony Clifton.
So on behalf of Mr. Matt Morgan, on behalf of Justin LaBar, myself, and the Wrestling Inc. family, stay tuned to Wrestling Inc. for all the latest stories. There's a lot going on in the world right now. Wrestling Inc., of course, always has the latest, and we'll be back here Friday night to talk about SmackDown. Yes, Bernie DC, just remember, everything I do it for you.